Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. 50 years ago, in 1975, the top three names for baby girls were Jennifer, Amy, and Heather. My, how things have changed. One website listing popular names for girls in 2025 mentioned that parents now are deciding names on what is cute for a child and not much considering that they are also naming people who will one day be adults. According to their list, current popular names might be Aqua, Bunny, or Dovey. They also said that some parents draw inspiration for the names they give their little girls from nature, choosing names like Cloud, Dune, and Marsh. Who knows what it will be in 50 more years? Last week, our time together, we looked at Bible stories of 7 men who shared the name Joseph. That's not really too unexpected over the centuries the Bible covers. However, after a week of considering the stories of those men, I thought it would only be fair to look at women who shared a name like that too. And the choice was obvious. When you read the New Testament, it seems like women named Mary are everywhere. So our plan this week is to look at women in the Bible story who are named Mary, and today we're going to begin with the most prominent one, Mary, the mother of Jesus. The Gospel of Luke mentions Mary 12 times, and all of them refer to the nativity of Jesus. We hear an angel coming to visit Mary, and Mary's willing acceptance of what God was doing in and through her to save the world. We hear about her visit to her kinswoman, Elizabeth, and then the journey with Joseph to Bethlehem to be part of the census ordered by the Caesar. We sense her struggle as the town is overcrowded and there is no place for them in the inn, and they are relegated to the stable, but where that night Jesus is born. We know about the visit of the shepherds and are amazed with Mary and Joseph at all these things. In Luke, we walk alongside Mary in all of this, thankful for her faithful response, with her pondering all these things in our hearts. The Gospel of Matthew mentions Mary only 5 times, and some of those are in the story of Jesus' birth as well. But in this Gospel, the story is told from Joseph's perspective. Mary is mentioned here as part of the story, and how Joseph decided to divorce her rather than expose her to shame and disgrace. And then we hear of the visit of the wise men and of the flight to Egypt. But Matthew includes one other story where Mary is mentioned. The first is early in Jesus' ministry when he's starting to attract attention. He returns to Nazareth and they invite him to preach, and he basically proclaims to them that he is the Messiah. The townspeople react badly and say, "Isn't this Mary's son who grew up among us? Who does he think he is to say things like this?" In Mark's Gospel, Mary is mentioned 2 times. One of those stories is the same one Matthew tells about when Jesus preached at Nazareth. The other story, however, involves when Jesus was preaching and his mother and some others in his family show up asking for him. Jesus then includes all of us in his family by saying, "Whoever does the will of God is my mother and brother and sister." When we come to John's Gospel, Mary plays a somewhat different role. She's only mentioned twice, but one of those is the story at the wedding at Cana when Jesus turned the water into wine. It is interesting to note that when she learns they have run out of wine, she immediately turns to Jesus to solve the problem. Mary seems to sense that Jesus can do something about the situation. And we wonder, where did she get that faith? After all, it's Jesus' first miracle in John. How did she know? we marvel at her understanding and her faith. Then Mary is mentioned as one of the women at the foot of the cross at Jesus' crucifixion. Remember that Jesus gives care of his mother to one of his disciples. How hard it must have been to witness not only the death of her son, but also of her hopes and dreams. That's not the last time we hear of Mary. She is also mentioned in the book of Acts as part of the group that were meeting with the apostles. Legend says that she died in Ephesus, still cared for by that apostle Jesus entrusted her to. Mary's is a life responsive and faithful to God. Throughout her life, she said yes to God. So should we. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.